Skirk is the latest addition to Genshin Impact's roster, and in this video, I'll be sharing my honest opinions on her value as a free-to-play unit. But before we get into the action, I wanted to give a short reintroduction of Skirk. Don't worry, there won't be any spoilers from her new story quest, just some details about her background and connection. Skirk is described as being a mysterious swordswoman who hails from beyond the borders of Teyvat. She's trained under Sir Telogi, one of the 5 sinners of Khaenri'ah, and even took a young Tartaglia under her wing when he fell into the abyss. For anyone who's followed the lore for a while, you'll know that she possesses exceptional narrative and combat potential. Now it's time to see if she lives up to that hype. When it comes to her design and animations, they don't just look good but feel good too. Koyo managed both fluidity and responsiveness in her movement. Personally speaking, I like her design a lot, and the ability to switch outfits mid-combat reminds me of Furina. But her main showpiece is her elemental birth, which looks like it's straight out of a cutscene. However, we aren't just here to gawk at her, it's time we discuss her kit. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not a dedicated guide maker, but I'd like to believe I can lay out the basics and push you in the general direction of making her competitive enough for things like Spiral Abyss, Imaginarium Theatre, and the new Stygian Onslaught game mode. One of the first things you'll take note of is her unique energy gauge. It doesn't fill up the traditional way by absorbing particles. Instead, you'll have to acquire a resource called Serpent Subtlety, which she can produce by herself. By tapping or holding Skirk's elemental skill, she will gain 45 Serpent Subtlety, so just under half. And thanks to one of her Ascension talents, her teammates can also help produce Serpent Subtlety, albeit indirectly. Whenever her teammates trigger any of these cryo reactions, she will generate Void Rifts. She can then absorb these Void Rifts and gain 8 Serpent Subtlety each by tapping her elemental skill to enter a state called 7-Phase Flash, then using a charged attack or a special elemental burst. Also, holding her elemental skill will allow her to absorb the rifts, but she will not enter 7-Phase Flash. The importance of either tapping or holding her elemental skill lies in the way in which you wish for her to dish out her damage. But before that, it's worth mentioning the value of her other Ascension talent. Whenever a Cryo or Hydro teammate applies their respective elements to an enemy, she will gain a stack of Death's Crossing, up to a max of 3 stacks. Each stack increases her normal attack damage while in 7-Phase Flash or just her burst damage. With that out of the way, we can go back to our previous discussion. Basically, Skirk has 2 main playstyles. In both cases, it's probably a good idea to rotate between your support characters and then into Skirk. Her normal attack playstyle will look something like this. After you have rotated through her supports, tap her elemental skill and then her special elemental burst to absorb the rift. Then spam your normal attack. Her burst playstyle follows similar logic. Rotate between her supports, but this time hold her elemental skill. You probably need to do this twice since she requires at least 50 Serpent Subtlety to activate her burst. This way you can smack the enemy as hard as you can. When it comes to building Skirk, Finale of the Deep Galleries is her best artifact set. Although, Marashose Hunter is really good because, well, Furina. In terms of weapon choices, a signature weapon, Azure Light, is her obvious best in slot. Any other offensive 5-star swords will also do the job. With 4-star options, there are a few. Calamity of Eshu is really strong as it gives her 40% damage and 16% crit rate for her normal and charged attack. But you will have to run a shielder to activate its passive. The Fontaine craftable Finale of the Deep is also really solid, but you will have to find a way to heal her to clear the Bond of Life. These are some other viable options. Now we finally get into a team building. This is where the restrictiveness of a kit starts to show. Furina and Escoffier are her best friends and will be a part of her stronger teams as they are just great supports who synergize well with each other and Skirk. This would leave the 4th slot up for contention, and the main contenders include Shenhe and Yelan. Mona can be quite useful in this team as well if she's running Thrilling Tales. If you're using Calamity of Eshu, shielders like Talia, Leela and Citlali can do the job while still providing some supportive capability. As for free-to-play options, we're pretty much stuck with Charlotte, Xingqiu, Rosaria, Kaya and Mika. Having hopefully covered all the important points, I'd like to offer my final verdict. Is Skirk a must-pull character? Is she nice to have? Or should you just skip her and save your precious Primo gems? In my opinion, Skirk is someone who is nice to have. The restrictions with regards to her team compositions would probably deter most free-to-play players, as we tend to pull for utility. But her strength in her freeze teams are undeniable, and she is a powerhouse with a super enjoyable playstyle. With that being said, it's time to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed or found some value, do consider dropping a like or subscribing. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.